Here are today's top stories. Rescue efforts in a landslide-hit area in Itogon, Benguet are shifted to retrieval operations as authorities determine no signs of life. Law enforcers go after some 900 high-value targets, including elected officials in the government's war on drugs. Palawan's tourism sector is urged to learn crisis management to prepare for natural and man-made disasters. And Catholic group Caritas provides monetary aid to victims of the landslide in Itogon, Benguet. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Search and rescue operations have been redirected into retrieval after authorities determined that there are no more signs of life in an area hit by a massive landslide in Itogon, Benguet. More on this from Benj Bondo.
Operatives have stopped searching for survivors in Barangay Ukab in Itogon, Benguet as they no longer find any signs of life in the area. Francis Tolentino, Presidential Advisor on Political Affairs, has directed operatives to focus on body retrieval operations. Scores of people, mostly small-scale miners and contractual laborers, were buried in a landslide at the height of Typhoon Ompong over a week ago. As of 8:30 a.m. Wednesday, the Cordillera Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council has confirmed 85 deaths and 23 still missing in Itogon. 17 of the missing were in Barangay Ukab in the so-called Ground Zero.
Nakakalungkot banggitin ito pero we have to address and admit the reality na tumagal na ng napakatagal na panahon. Napasok na nabutas na yung huling tunnel na malaki kung saan may posibilidad sana na nagtago yung mga ibang mga nawawala, pero ngayon napatunayan na wala na talagang makikitang buhay.
DSWD Regional Director Janet Armas said her department had begun the community counseling for the victims who earlier evacuated from their homes as Ompong ravaged the area. Armas said a group of psychologists would be conducting stress debriefing and trauma counseling among the victims' relatives. The CDRRMC has advised the relatives waiting for news on their missing family members to proceed to the DSWD regional office in Baguio for their psychosocial processing. The relatives were also advised to go to the DSWD so their DNA samples would be taken for matching with the unidentified bodies earlier recovered from the site and those who are still to be recovered. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
President Rodrigo Duterte led the send-off ceremony for some 250 brand-new transport vehicles of the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology to the country's various district, city, and town jails. The new transport vehicles were turned over to the BJMP in Camp General Vicente Lim in Calamba City, Laguna. This is considered the biggest acquisition in the Bureau's history following the President's directive to procure them when he allotted some 299 million pesos for vehicles in December. BJMP Chief Jail Director Diogracias Tapayan said the procurement solves the Bureau's problem of transporting persons deprived of liberty during court hearings, especially in far-flung areas and islands. He also thanked the President for the approval of the BJMP's budget of around 3.4 billion pesos for the construction of 107 jail buildings nationwide to address the perennial problem of jail overcrowding. The Supreme Court has dismissed the petition filed by fugitive and suspected drug lord Peter Lim last June in connection with his indictment on drug charges. The High Court's Third Division says the SC resolves to dismiss the petition for failure to show any grave abuse of discretion on the part of government prosecutors. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara and members of the DOJ prosecution panel pursued the charges against the Cebu-based businessman. Lim claimed the DOJ committed grave abuse of discretion when it reopened an investigation against him since state prosecutors under former Justice Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre earlier dropped the drug charges. At a Senate hearing in 2016, self-confessed drug distributor Kerwin Espinosa identified Lim as one of his drug suppliers. In August of 2017, a Makati court ordered Lim's arrest after finding probable cause against him. The Philippine National Police assures that the revelation of the so-called Red October plot is not part of a plan to declare martial law. PNP spokesman Benigno Durana denied the accusation of Vice President Leni Robredo that the government is conditioning the mind of the public that martial law will be declared nationwide. Durana says the AFP and the PNP are not in favor of nationwide martial law. He explains the current economic and political conditions do not justify military rule. Durana also denies that the arrest of Senator Antonio Trillanes IV is related to the Red October plot. He stresses that the Makati RTC is already handling the senator's case long before the plot was exposed. The Red October plot involves the alleged move of the Magdalo Group, communists, and members of the opposition to oust President Rodrigo Duterte. The Philippine Embassy in Tokyo provided assistance to Filipinos in Hokkaido, Japan, 2 weeks after a magnitude 6.7 earthquake rocked the island. Consul General Robespierre Bolivar said a 7-man team from the embassy went to Sapporo City, Hokkaido for the one-day outreach program on September 23rd. The team assisted 159 passport applicants, 16 civil registration and notarial applicants, and other consular inquiries during the outreach. Philippine Ambassador to Japan, Joey Laurel, says the free consular service goes a very long way in helping Filipinos in the recovery effort after the earthquake. The embassy team also held a dialogue to take stock of the needs of Filipinos following the quake and to discuss contingency plans to prepare for any future natural disasters. The earthquake, which struck Hokkaido last September 6, was the most powerful temblor to have affected the island. Still to come, law enforcers go after some 900 high-value targets, including elected officials in the government's war on drugs. Palawan's tourism sector is urged to learn crisis management to prepare for natural and man-made disasters. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Sa ginagawa ng Presidente. September 13, Huwebes, NDRRMC Command Center. Pinulong ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ang kanyang gabinete upang paghandaan ang paglandfall ng bagyong Ompong sa Northern Luzon. September 16, Linggo, Tuguegarao. Nagtungo ang Pangulo sa Cagayan para sa situation briefing at sinuri ang pinsala ng bagyo sa lugar. Lawag. Nangako ang Pangulo sa local officials ng Ilocos Norte na susuporta siya sa mga naapektuhan ng bagyo sa sektor ng agrikultura. September 17, Lunes, La Trinidad, Benguet. Matapos ang kalunos-lunos na sinapit ng lalawigan sa pananalasan ng bagyong Ompong, ay binatikos ni Pangulong Duterte ang mga minahan na nagdudulot ng panganib sa buhay ng tao.
We have a problem with our mining industry. It has not contributed anything substantial to the national economy. Though I must admit that we earn about 70 billion a year. And if you're ready to accept that as a profit, let us make it simple for the country. But in the end, how much do you lose in the process? That mining thing has really contributed a lot of heartaches for the Filipino people. It is time for us, particularly the DNR, General Simato, to take a second look seriously now regarding the dangers of the open pit mining.
Personal na nakiramay ang Pangulo sa pamilya ng mga nasawi sa landslide mula sa iba't ibang lugar sa Benguet.
Ang makasabi lang kung kailan tayo mamatay, hanggang kailan tayo mabuhay sa mundong ito, saan, paano. Ang Diyos lang talaga ang sagot ng lahat ng tanong na ito. Even if I make a vain attempt to blame somebody, to blame the weather, or maybe to blame the negligence of others, it won't really help anymore.
September 18, Martes, Isabela. Nagpasalamat si Pangulong Duterte sa mga lokal na opisyal sa Isabela dahil sa zero casualty sa kanilang lalawigan at masusing paghahanda sa paparating na bagyo.
Pumunta ko dito is to congratulate the officials, the governor, vice governor, and everybody of you who were ready at the forefront, ready to face the onslaught. And I admire the preparation.
Hindi rin pinalampas ng Commander-in-Chief ang pagkakataon na bisitahin at magpasalamat sa 5th Infantry Division sa Camp Melchor de la Cruz sa Isabela. September 19, Miyerkules, Malacanang. Pinanumpa ng Pangulo ang mga bagong opisyal ng Liga ng mga Barangay. Nakipagpulong siya sa mga opisyal ng Land Bank of the Philippines at Department of Agriculture. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Law enforcement agencies are focusing on the arrest and neutralization of about 900 high-value targets in the government's war on drugs. PNP spokesman Benigno Durana says these targets are the subjects of case buildup and operations of the police, PDEA, and NBI. Among the targets are elected officials allegedly involved in the drug trade. About 247 elected officials are among the 576 government personnel arrested in anti-drug operations from July 2016 up to August 31st, 2018. The number includes about 271 government employees and 58 uniformed personnel. Water technology experts are urging the country's policymakers to invest in water technology to make the sector more efficient. Silent President Patrick Decker has welcomed the government's initiative to invest in the water sector. Decker says investing in water technology would help the country reduce operation costs for wastewater treatment as well as wastage in producing potable water. Decker said the biggest challenge for wastewater plants is mitigating their voracious energy consumption. On the other hand, he said there is also the risk of losing revenue in the business of producing clean drinking water faced by water utility companies. He also cited the rising impact of climate change and pollution that further complicate the demand for water. Palawan's tourism sector is being urged to get trained on crisis management to ward off threats of natural and man-made calamities and terrorism. Henry Teodoro Hernia, Secretary and Business Continuity Manager of Floor Philippines, said there should be a proactive plan with local government units to sustain the tourism industry. The proactive plan should focus on concern for municipalities in Palawan that have tourist spots and regularly get the largest share of visitors. Hernia said tourism is a factor that both tourists and investors consider. Sheila Marie Reyes of the Office of the Civil Defense in Mimaropa also said tourism industry players should upgrade their capacities to handle other natural and man-made disasters. This is because Palawan is no longer free from experiencing weather disturbances such as storm surges, flooding, landslides, and human-induced calamities like fire, among others. Some 200 lifeguards on Boracay Island have completed their training with the Philippine Coast Guard as part of preparations for its reopening on October 26. The lifeguards are personnel of resorts and hotels near the island's long white beachfront. The training course includes 32 hours of water safety, 4 hours of first aid, and 4 hours of basic life support. Captain Alan Victor de la Vega, District Commander of PCG Western Visayas, says they want all the resort owners and hotels to have at least 2 qualified lifeguards each. Aside from training lifeguards, De La Vega said they are also planning to conduct oil spill response and combat exercises. A total of 50 Coast Guard personnel with different specializations are helping in the rehabilitation efforts of the Boracay Interagency Task Force. Next, the NCRPO secures evidence against a blogger who posted a bomb threat on social media. Catholic group Caritas provides monetary aid to victims of the landslide in Itogon, Benguet. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Hi guys! Para sa segment 1, alamin natin kung legit nga ba ang mga tow trucks na nag-ooperate sa inyong lugar at paano natin malalaman na hindi ito isang koloro. Sa aking likuran ay isang classic example ng isang tow truck at bawat stickers na makikita nyo sa katawan ng nasabing tow truck ay napaka-importante. Umpisahan natin dito sa logo ng MMDA Towing and Impounding. Maging ang logong ito ay makikita nyo rin sa harapan. Ito ang magpapatunay na accredited nga ang nasabing tow truck. Pangalawa, ang signboard. Sa signboard na yan, makikita natin ang MMDA Resolution number 1029 at malalaman ninyo kung magkano nga ba ang multa na babayaran ninyo kapag nahila na ang inyong sasakyan. Para sa mga light vehicles, 1,500 ang unang 4 na kilometro. Medium vehicles, nasa 2,500 para sa unang 4 na kilometro. Para sa mga heavy vehicles, nasa 4,500 para sa unang 4 na kilometro. At ang mga susunod na kilometro, 200 pesos. Ito naman tayo sa dulo. Makikita natin sa kanyang katawan ang pangalan mismo ng tow truck. At dapat katabi nun ang body number na nasabing tow truck. Panghuli, kailangan maliwanag na nakalagay ang MMDA Hotline 136. Sa bawat tow truck na sinasama sa operation, makikita ninyo na dilaw ang plaka at siguraduhin na sa bawat operation na gagawin at kasama ang tow truck, dapat may kasamang traffic enforcer. Mamaya ibibigay ko sa inyo yung mga dokumentong pwede nyong hingin. Pwede nyong hingin sa mga towing personnel para siguraduhin na legit pa din ang nasabing tow truck. Kasi ang mga stickers na to, anytime pwedeng dayain. Pero yung mga documents na ipapakita ko sa inyo mamaya, that will prove a lot. Okay guys, ipagpalagay natin na nakakita na kayo ng tow truck na kumpleto ng lahat ng stickers at markings na naipakita ko sa inyo kanina. Pero pwede nyo pa rin i-double check sa ating mga towing personnel ang nasabing tow truck kung hindi nga ito koloro. Una, kailangan meron siyang dalang ORCR. Very basic para sa lahat ng sasakyan. Pangalawa, make sure na kung hihilahin niya ang inyong sasakyan ay iiwanan niya kayo ng impounding notice. Ito rin kasi yung magsisilbing papel na ipapakita ninyo sa Tumana Impounding Station dahil dito nakalagay kung ano yung plaka, sinong may-ari, and at the same time saang lugar ka nahila. Pangatlo, ang technical inspection form. This is very important. Magsisilbi itong checklist sa sasakyan na hihilahin ng nasabing tow truck. Dito rin ilalagay ang reference number sa sinabing towing operation. Pang-apat, ang Certification of Provisional Authority. Ibig sabihin, ito ang magpapatunay na pwedeng mag-operate ang nasabing tow truck. Nakalagay din dito ang mga tow trucks, ang mga units na under ng nasabing tow truck name. So for example, si Iron Wing, kung ilan yung towing units na naka-incorporate sa nasabing Provisional Authority, makikita ninyo dito. Kasama na doon ang engine number at chassis number. Panghuli, ang decision mula sa Land Transportation and Franchising and Regulatory Board o LTFRB. Ito ang magpapatunay na ang tow truck ay truck for hire. Ibig sabihin, siguraduhin na ang tow truck na mag-ooperate sa inyong lugar ay may dilaw na plaka. Sa ngayon, yun lang naman ang pinaka-importanteng kailangan ninyong malaman para maiwasan ang maloko ng mga kolorong tow trucks. Muli, ako si Celine Pelago, ang MMDA spokesperson. Have a good day!
The National Capital Region Police Office has started gathering documentary evidence against blogger Drew Olivar. Olivar is facing charges for spreading a bomb threat. On his Facebook post on Friday, the blogger warned protesters planning to gather along EDSA of a possible bombing similar to the blast in Plaza Miranda in 1971. The Department of Justice, or DOJ, however, refused to accept the criminal complaint against Olivar due to insufficient documents. NCRPO Chief Director Guillermo Eliazar said they have requested the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group for a certification that the internet protocol address used by Olivar in posting the message has been deleted. Eliazar says this will be the basis of their complaint against Olivar. The NCRPO chief clarified that the complaint was not rejected. Olivar earlier drew flack after he was accused of mocking mute people in a video that went viral on social media. The Caritas Baguio is giving financial and housing aid to hundreds of families displaced by the fatal landslide in Barangay Ukab in Itogon, Benguet. As of Wednesday, the Catholic Church's charity organization has completed the profiling of about 400 families who will receive non-food items worth 4,500 pesos each and cash to subsidize their house rentals for 6 months. Caritas Baguio will also be shouldering the 6 months house rentals of about 300 profiled families whose houses were totally destroyed or located in areas declared as permanent danger zones because of the landslide and the typhoon. Last Friday, Mayor Victorio Palangdan told reporters that Caritas Baguio had responded to the Itogon town government's call for assistance for the displaced families' relocation. The Philippine Skating Union will hold the Philippine Open Short Track Championships at the SM Mega Mall Ice Skating Rink in Mandaluyong City on September 27. PSU Vice President Josie Begilia said the short track speed skating tournament will serve as the basis for the selection of national team members. The tournament is also one of the deciding factors as to who will represent the country in the Southeast Asian Games next year. 2017 SEA Games veteran Catherine Magno meanwhile noted that Filipinos have the talent in the sport and they can excel given the proper training. Meanwhile, skaters finished their 3-day skating training under coaches Kelvin Nicole of New Zealand and Australian short track club coach Maggie Holland on Wednesday. The camp activities include enhancement of speed and skating skills, on-ice drills, off-ice strengthening and conditioning, as well as improvements in balance and skating techniques. As Marawi City settles down after months of rehabilitation, residents took part in special barangay elections which ended more peacefully than those done in previous years. Sweet Lukman of the PIA tells us more.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines considered Marawi City Special Barangay Sangguniang Kabataan elections a success after how many years of threats and violence in the city. The voting started at 7 a.m. and ended at 3 p.m. with no failure of elections recorded, completing the Commission on Elections target on the nationwide scale. Major Palawan Miondas, Civil Military Operations Officer of Philippine Army's 103rd Brigade, explained that this special village polls in Marawi City is way too peaceful compared to the previous elections. There are small commotions, but we immediately contained the situation and the voting process continued smoothly, said Miondas. The COMELEC, Department of Education, and the security forces also made sure that every Marawi IDP can freely practice their right to suffrage by placing voting precincts on Sagonsongan Transitional Site, Rorogaros Elementary School, and Bito Elementary School for the 24 barangays that are included in the most affected area of the Marawi siege. We are under the martial law and full force of Philippine National Police is here with us. We'll always be here until the election process ends, Miondas assured. Meanwhile, Marawi City Schools Division Superintendent Ana Zenaida Unte admitted that there are some teachers who refuse to serve as Board of Election inspectors. We have to replace them because they have family ties with candidates, but we did not come to a point that we have to replace them with PNP personnel, Unte added. The Joint Task Force Ranao is also looking forward on the declaration of the newly elected barangay and SK officials from MAA who are expected to play an important role on the ongoing and future plans of the government for the 24 barangays in most affected area. After this election, we will gather the newly elected village leaders from MAA to help us implement Cambisita 2, Colonel Romeo Bronner, Joint Task Force Ranao Deputy Commander said. JTFR also deployed Army personnel on every polling precinct and tasked mobile troops to monitor other voting centers. Together with Wilnard Barcelonia, for PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories. Rescue efforts in a landslide-hit area in Itogon, Benguet are shifted to retrieval operations as authorities determine no signs of life. Law enforcers go after some 900 high-value targets, including elected officials in the government's war on drugs. Palawan's tourism sector is urged to learn crisis management to prepare for natural and man-made disasters. And Catholic group Caritas provides monetary aid to victims of the landslide in Itogon, Benguet. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.